same tree limb is now warm. What happened? The only thing that changed, you just removed the life from that tree limb. See, once life is removed from anything, the decay process immediately kicks into gear. It is not going to lay around for millions of years and slowly turn to stone. It's going to rot away. The evidence confirms things rot away. Well, people can believe that it lays around if they want to, but the evidence confirms something contrary to that. Adding more time to the issue is not going to make it better, because the more time that goes by, the more the item has decayed away. If the item is decaying away, then there's nothing left to turn to stone. If it is going to be a fossil, it must happen quickly, or it cannot happen at all. And not only that, the more detail that is present in a fossil is what verifies the more quickly it was done. Because the observation evidence shows things rot away rather fast, rather quickly. Anyway, we have a lot of different fossils, and these leaf fossils are fascinating. On the back side of the thing is 3 distinct layers, levels of leaves, not just the imprint, but the actual leaves there, turned to stone. They're fascinating. Well, we have a place in northern New Hampshire, and people come from all over the place to see the pretty leaves turn colors. And after they turn their pretty colors, they get brown. They go to the ground, and they don't lay there for millions of years and slowly turn to stone. That's not what happens to them at all. They rot away rather quickly. You see, adding time is not going to help anything. If it's going to happen, by the time next year's leaves fall off the trees, last year's leaves are pretty well worked back in the soil. The evidence confirms things rot away. The evidence confirms they're not going to lay around for millions of years. People are still free to believe the painting showed up by random chance if they want. They can still believe they're going to lay around for millions of years if they want. But the evidence doesn't confirm that. It, in many people's minds, shows something opposite of that. I mean, it's incredible. We have several different insect fossils and such. It's just incredible detail. I've been collecting fossils all my life, man. I just love this stuff. But we have these cicadas. I mean, they're just fascinating. A lot of different fossils that we have are positive and negative. They're just amazing creatures. But yet the feathers, walnuts, beetles, worms, all kinds of figs. We have a couple of different figs. A fig's not going to fall off a fig tree and lay there for millions of years. It just doesn't work that way. It's going to rot away. The thing is going to fall apart. We have all kinds of this stuff right here. Now, most of you know what this is. This is dookie, turned to stone. Well, listen, if you ever had a dog, you know your dog does that stuff in the backyard. You know? It doesn't lay around for millions of years and slowly turn to stone. But yet the stuff is found, turned to stone, all over the place. We've got many pieces of it. Some big, some little, some big, and some of it is amazing, the amount of detail that is present in the thing. Now again, people are free to believe that the stuff's going to lay around for millions of years if they'd like to, but the evidence confirms from what you all have seen with your own eyes, the stuff falls apart rather quickly. It's not going to lay around for millions of years and turn to stone. We've got a turtle egg turned to stone. I mean, cats get little turtle embryos inside there. I mean, just amazing stuff. Well, you take a dozen eggs and place them out in the yard somewhere and check on them every morning and watch them turn to stone over time. That's not going to happen. The observational evidence, the test that you can do to show, is going to show that they're going to rot. The bugs are going to get them. The ants are going to get them. The mower's going to get them. The heat's going to get them. The cold's going to get them. Something's going to happen. They're not going to lay around for millions of years and turn to stone. It doesn't work that way. They're going to rot away rather quickly. But yet eggs are found turned to stone all over the world. All kinds of them. We had some of the tray that we brought here last night. I mean, just fascinating stuff. The fact is, the evidence confirms they rot away. Now, again, people are free to believe whatever they want. But yet it has still been just a belief because the evidence shows something totally contrary to that very thing. Nevertheless, I'm going to run this by you too. Talk about fossils and the interpretation of them and all that kind of stuff. Let's suppose for a moment that nobody on the planet has ever seen a camel. Nobody. I believe the Bible. Okay, so I would believe that thousands of years ago, they all died out in the flood. Oh yeah, there was Mama, Daddy Camel, they were on the ark, but of course Daddy Camel tripped on his own 4 legs and broke his neck, so Mama Camel had nobody, they had no babies, and now they're dead. Nobody has seen a camel. They've been dead for thousands of years. You want to believe things for millions of years? They've been dead for millions of years. Nobody has ever seen a camel. Nobody has ever seen anything to do with a camel. You don't know anything about a camel. Nobody knows anything about it. And then one day, somebody out there chipping away in the rocks, looking for new fossils, and trying to get rich and famous and all that kind of stuff, and they come across a camel skull. Seriously. You can see if you want to see. But you know what, folks? If you knew nothing about that animal, and that's all you found, do you realize the mean, fierce, killing machine kind of creature you could develop out of that thing? When in fact, that's just the head of an old camel. Do you realize, folks, it's the bone that's found. It's a tooth that's found. It's a claw that's found. It's man that interprets what it is they found. You see, the problem is, or the issue is, oftentimes it's just a portion of this or a portion of that. Sometimes they're rather complete this and rather complete that. But the reality is how the thing lived, if it was a disastrous killing machine or not, if it was mothering, if it was all that kind of, it's interpretation of stuff that people are looking at. And that's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Give you an example. The Velociraptor. The movie Jurassic Park comes out, right? 1993. The Velociraptor is a 6-foot-tall, sleek, slender reptile, chasing the kids through the kitchen. And everybody knows about the Velociraptor. Boy, he got real famous, real fast, Everybody loves the Velociraptor. Scared to death of the Velociraptor. Well, a few years go by, and the movie Dinosaur comes out. Now the Velociraptor is a 3-foot-tall critter. Runs in big packs, dozens of them. Jump on something all together, bring it down for food. The American Museum of Natural History, still today, in it, has a bird-sized, pigeon-sized, feathered-covered, bird-looking Velociraptor on display. 3 distinct, different depictions of Velociraptor. Which one's true? See, the problem is, folks, the fine thing, and change and all these kind of things, but it is the worldview of the person that is putting the thing together that is telling you what it is you're looking at. And it's the same thing with some kind of a human ancestor of some sort in the past. It's the same thing with the horse ancestor of the past. It's the same thing with all that kind of stuff. Niles Evers, I challenge you. You can go call him up yourself. Niles Evers, curator for the American Museum of Natural History, has been asked, and he's in writing even admitted that the horse series is a fraud. It is not true. He even says that is taught as literal truth in textbook after textbook. Quote, now I think that is lamentable, but it's still on display in the American Museum. But yet it's known to be not true, but yet it is the #1 scientific evolutionary theory concept and whatnot. It's incredible, the whole thing. But nevertheless, it's people that put the ideas together. Somebody looks at something like this, they will automatically immediately see design. Somebody designed that thing. Now, you can take a knife, a fork, and a spoon, and you can nuke them, x-ray them, gamma ray them, zap them, flap them, snap, put them in space, put them in salt water, put them wherever you want to. But everybody can see that that has design. Somebody designed that thing with a purpose in mind, and it seems to fulfill that purpose pretty well. But yet the same people that will see design there will look at something like this and say, well, look what evolution did. Well, I see it differently. I see somebody design that thing. Somebody with quite a sense of humor put that thing together. I think it's pretty awesome, as a matter of fact. The reality is, folks, if there is a design, there is a designer. That's the way a lot of people look at it. Now, people are free to believe all the complexity they want to, came up as blind random chance if they like to. People are free to believe whatever they want. But there's no reason to get hostile if somebody doesn't believe the way you believe. What's the big problem? Explain what you think you got, what you got, see how it lays out. I'd like to see some tests, though. Where's the test to show that evolution is what it says it is? There isn't any. A person can only believe, there aren't any, I should say, but a person can only believe in the past what it is how they're interpreting the various ideas and concepts and such. In my mind, a lot of folks' minds, evolutionists don't know which way they're going, They've argued bitterly amongst themselves, not just at people like me. They argue bitterly amongst themselves. Why? Why? This guy says he's got it. This guy says he's got it. He calls him an idiot. He calls him an idiot. You're not educated. I'm smarter than you. And all this arguing goes, why? Why don't we just discuss what's going on and see where the evidence lies out? I still always go back to the fact that a dog is still going to reproduce a dog. A person is free to believe the dogs and the cabbage came from the same common ancestor. Or like I showed last night, the books say, you guys have it in this book right here, as a matter of fact, too. I'll even open the page up and I'll show it to you so you know I'm not just making the thing up. I even marked a couple of the pages here because it's in these textbooks. It's in all the textbooks. It's not that some old-fashioned, literature somewhere that doesn't have any bearing of any kind or whatever. It's in all the textbooks today. They say everything. I marked the page. I thought I marked the page. I'll find it later. Whatever. But anyway, everything goes back to the same common ancestor. Well, again, folks are willing to believe that if they would like to, but nevertheless, here it is right here. The birds, remember the other night, birds, horses, and humans? Come take a look at this book. It's the one y'all use in this system right here. It leaves the human out, but it's got the bird and the bat, and the chicken and horse, and all that kind of stuff. They all go back to a common ancestor. Well, people are free to believe that if they'd like to. But there is no common ancestor that you're going to ever be able to show give birth to something that's going to give birth to something that's going to give birth to something. Ever before you want to put it out. But do the test. Do the experiment to show this to be science. Otherwise, it's not science. It's belief. If it's just belief, then it's religion by definition. Certainly doesn't qualify then as science. So you got, by the very definition of what science, not by me, by the very definition of what the